Hi, I'm Tim Weaver from CMVG. I'm here with Michael Gapper from Xbox World. How you doing, Mike?
Oh, pretty good, Tim.
Good,
Again,
good.
Just like old times.
Like old times, rolling back the years, talking about Xbox stuff. You've just heard us talk about PlayStation. Dan and I had a good chat about that, and Mike's gonna educate us as to what's going to be at the Microsoft conference this year and beyond on the show floor and all that sort of stuff. But we'll start off with the conference, Mike, because that's what everyone gets excited about and wants to know what's going to be there. And having chatted to you a little bit off air, it sounds like you've got a pretty good idea about how things are going to go there. So fill us in.
So barring any real big surprises, I think we know pretty much exactly how Microsoft's conference is going to play out. Because every year we kind of know how Microsoft's conference is going to play out. It always follows a very similar format, and that's partially because they need to have kind of a very showy, a real show-off kind of performance. They only see a real bit of production, bit of stage management to their show, because they are, of the three hardware manufacturers, the only company which have a televised show in America. They actually go out on Spike TV, and for the first time ever, they're going to be going out on Xbox Live. You'll actually be able to watch this feed yourself at 6 p.m. GMT on Monday.
And of course, they're going out first. They're going out before Sony, before Nintendo.
Which is, it's a huge advantage in terms of controlling the news cycle, I guess, but a massive disadvantage too, because it lets the other guys pull a big twist later on if they were inclined to do so. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about, and that is, are Microsoft going to unveil Durango / Xbox 720 / whatever it's called?
Well, we've been talking to a lot of people in the industry, and the funny thing was, back towards the start of the year, many of them have been told to have ideas ready, demos ready. Certainly some of our contacts who we won't name have said, they were for a point working on plans for this E3. But a couple of months ago, word came down around the time of the developers conference in London. There was a similar one around the same time in, I believe, San Francisco, around GDC time, which is when the first Durango dev kits went out. It was also around the time they decided, nope, we're not actually going to be bringing new hardware to E3. And it kind of makes sense. It doesn't actually benefit anyone to bring new hardware to E3, except perhaps us. Because it would be nice. We'd love to write about it, and I'm sure gamers would love to see it. But Microsoft still have a year's worth of games they want to sell you. If they're releasing a console in November 2013, which is when they're releasing a new console, they're going to be keen to keep the focus on Xbox 360 at least until June of next year.
Yeah.
And when they'll be able to announce their new machine and really show off. And if they were to announce new hardware, they wouldn't do it at E3 anyway. You would know about it months in advance when they booked a big slot on MTV or Spike and had a half hour of TV all to themselves.
I think it's telling as well that this year there haven't been the massive amount of leaks from Microsoft that there normally are. And I think if there was going to be significant next-gen presence at the show, we probably would have already heard about it, because Microsoft are the leakiest organisation in the world.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of the leaks which have come out have actually gone through Xbox World. We're fairly well connected, and we've been able to talk to a lot of developers about the dev kit itself, the specs of the machine, and it's a monster. The machine they're working on, the early kits they've got, it's just incredible. And the things you've read online are actually, as far as I understand, quite accurate. But going into this show, you're not going to be seeing that. What you might see, though, is a tease.
Yeah.
Because they can't risk later on in the day, around about 6 hours later, Sony have their conference. Microsoft can't risk Sony going on stage and going, oh, by the way, and here's PS4, which they're not going to do either, we should say. But they might themselves tease something. You could easily see one of the manufacturers, and we're talking Sony and Microsoft because Nintendo already have their own next-gen plans. We know what those are. Sony and Microsoft could go on stage and go, you know what, and of course we're thinking about the next generation, and we're working closely with our partners at Epic Games, for instance. And then they can come out with an Unreal 4 demo. Or our partners at Crytek, again, which is another Microsoft partner, and show an incredible next-gen demo using CryEngine. This wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility, because if Sony were to close their conference saying, and of course this is what we have in mind for the next generation of games, it would be a big thing. And if they're not ready to talk about it, then developers are. They are definitely ready to talk about this stuff. Already you've got guys like DICE saying, well, our next game you're actually going to need, you're not actually going to need a 64-bit operating system. It's time to upgrade. If you're on a 32-bit Windows OS, it's time to upgrade. those guys are, their next game isn't going to be built for current gen systems. The next big Battlefield, the next mainline Battlefield game, the next mainline Infinity Ward COD isn't going to be built for the current gen platforms. And when guys like Hideo Kojima, who's working on Fox Engine, which is like a dedicated next gen engine, if he turns up at E3, is he going to want to talk about this generation of hardware, or is he going to want to talk about next generation? And if the hardware manufacturers don't say something about it, then effectively his game would be a de facto PC exclusive until anyone announced anything.
Yeah.
What they're going to get both of them, I think, saying something, which is just to say, yeah, our minds are on the next generation. We do have ideas. We're not leaving it hanging. And I think it's very likely that if Epic show Unreal, they might show it on Microsoft show. Already Jeff Keighley of Game Traders has said that Spike TV will be showing the debut of Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah.
He didn't say what show that would be on.
No.
On the day of the first day of E3, it's actually not the first day of E3, it's the day of the conferences, it's the day before the first day of E3. E3 begins properly on Tuesday. They've got a TV show on late in the US, which will show a lot of insider footage, a little bit of extra stuff on things you will have seen already that day. But Spike over in America, of course, it'll be early in the morning. They'll be showing the Microsoft conference. It may be that's where the Unreal demo gets shown for the first time, not on the TV show that night.
It would certainly make sense given Microsoft and Epic's relationship in the past.
Well, notoriously, you know, Epic were responsible for making the Xbox 360 kind of what it was.
Exactly,
it was going to be a 256 meg console with the RAM. And they said, well, here's what Gears of War will look like with 256 meg of RAM. And it encouraged Microsoft to double the amount of RAM. Of course, they've reached a point in the generation where 512 is a real slim amount.
Yeah. So your understanding is that if they're going to do that, they'll probably finish a show with it. So talk us a little bit about the conference, about how you think things are going to be structured.
Microsoft always open with third parties. That's kind of their thing. They really like to court third parties. They really like these deals which tie them into DLC, tie them into exclusive demos, that kind of thing. And that's what you're going to see for like the first 4 games. First 5 games even will all be third-party games. We're talking Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. I'm almost certain that'll open the show. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't. Why? Because Microsoft have a DLC deal with Activision. They get the DLC for all COD games a month earlier than anyone else. That deal actually expires with Black Ops, so they're going to really want to get the most out of it on this show.
Yeah.
They'll open with COD. It's a massive crowd pleaser. Again, it's going on TV in America, and Spike TV has a very specific audience. It is that COD audience. They'll probably follow up with Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Because they've got a 60-day exclusive on the demo. Again, it's another one of those strange Microsoft deals, so I wouldn't be surprised if they had Resident Evil demoing on stage. Dawn Guard, another exclusive, 30 days of Dawn Guard exclusivity. That's the Skyrim DLC.
Yeah.
They'll go straight into that. And that's when you probably see a couple of guys come out with Kinect support in games you already know. FIFA, Madden, that kind of thing. Of course, Madden's a bigger deal over there, but don't be surprised if EA Sports were to come out. That's a guess. Maybe they will. There's certainly that support's ready to be announced.
Do you think at that point they'll show Rise, the Crytek Kinect game?
Who knows what's happened to Rise?
Or do you think that's just vaporware?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's been pushed back into the next generation.
So you think it actually exists and it's...
Well, the last we heard of it was in development with Crytek's Polish studio, and Microsoft weren't happy with the way it was going,
right,
and they'd asked for it to be moved to Frankfurt.
Okay.
So who knows where it stands right now? I mean, Frankfurt's where they're developing Crysis 3.
Yeah.
So that Rise is a genuine mystery.
Okay.
It's really up in the air. But what I think we will see is Splinter Cell Retribution debuting on Microsoft stage.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we know a great deal about Retribution, but we do know it's ready to be announced. We do know that the last Splinter Cell debuted on Microsoft stage is actually exclusive to Xbox.
That's right, yeah.
Will this one be exclusive to Xbox? You know what? It's possible. It actually is. It's very rare we get third-party exclusives these days. It's a slim chance, but it's possible.
Maybe a timed exclusive, do you think? Or?
Possibly that.
Yeah.
Possibly that. But I think Splinter Cell will debut on Microsoft stage.
Interesting, okay. So after that?
Then you move on to the part of the show where you can go and make a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Because that's when you get into the services part of the thing.
Yeah.
This is again, Microsoft do it every year. You get a bunch of guys come out from ESPN. You get guys coming out from Sky.
Yeah.
They'll talk about all the new partner deals they put together. Hey, we're friends with BBC. We're friends with these guys, and they'll just talk about the new services you'll have on live. Because the whole point of Xbox these days is it's a multimedia box. Skype might be there. Skype would be a big deal. It might actually, from what we're hearing rumor-wise lately, be the actual sole method of chat on the next gen.
That's what's been reported. Yeah,
I mean that would be huge. I mean Skype's the biggest phone platform in the world.
Yeah.
In theory, Microsoft own it now. Of course, they're bringing it to Xbox. They're working on it right now. We know that. We've seen recruitment ads for it. They'll announce it at this show. They won't probably have anything to show for a while. Similarly, IE9, Internet Explorer 9, probably coming to Xbox pretty soon with Kinect support, which will be, let's face it, probably not brilliant.
Yeah.
But, we're also going to hear about Woodstock, which is Microsoft's replacement for Zune.
Right.
Which apparently is a lot like Spotify.
Okay.
That story's been doing the rounds for about a month now. It seems legit. It's going to have like very close Facebook integration, so you'll be able to create playlists, Spotify-style playlists, put them straight onto Facebook, share them with friends. You'd share them through Windows Phone 8, Windows 8, and through your Xbox. All three platforms will play nice together. It's actually quite a cool service.
Yeah, that sounds quite interesting, and that is them again trying to reinvent this sort of Zune thing, which is. Not really been.
It never worked out. No. You know what? Zune, the brand itself is time. It's time for the brand to go.
Yeah.
The Live brand is stronger than the Zoom brand, so expect Live to be. I mean, we know Live is in Windows 8. We know Live is in Windows Phone already. Live, Woodstock, these will be the new brands you'll hear about from Microsoft.
Okay, so once we've made our cup of tea and we come back from the kitchen, things kick off again.
Well, the funny thing is Microsoft usually take this particular moment to do a little surprise, something that is of interest to gamers. Last year it was Minecraft at this moment. This year maybe free-to-play games. That's pure speculation on my part, but it seems like Microsoft would be overdue an announcement regarding free-to-play. It was the absolute talk of GDC. It was it's a real big thing. It's the biggest game in the world is League of Legends. It makes COD look like COD's literally half the size of League of Legends. Yeah. That's how big LoL is, and PS3 is already making inroads. If you play Dust 514 on PS3, you'll download the client from Sony. But once you actually connect to the game, you don't go through Sony servers at all. You go straight to CCP servers. Completely free to play game. Integrates with EVE Online. This is some real cool futuristic stuff, really, really cool stuff. And Microsoft have let themselves get behind on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they embrace free-to-play. If they don't announce it at their show, you're probably going to hear a lot of games journalists hassling Microsoft execs about it. A lot of men in suits are going to get a lot of questions about free-to-play at this show. And I think Microsoft know that. It's time to acknowledge it, I think.
Okay.
Then it's time for the real conference to begin.
Is the meaty stuff.
So you've seen a bunch of the third-party games. This will be the first parties, and this is where you realise we really are in the last generation of the last year of the generation's life, because your exclusives are Fable Journey, Forza Horizon, Halo 4, and that's your lot.
It's pretty poor, isn't it? Really. Don't get me wrong. Halo 4 is as massive as a single format game.
It's the biggest single format game in the world.
It's massive. It's massive. Forza Horizon. Who knows exactly what we're going to get from that?
Well, Forza Horizon is really exciting because it's made by a studio with incredible pedigree.
Yeah.
The talent at that studio, and it's a studio we can be proud of, it's a brand new British studio built from the ground up with guys who didn't deserve to be out of work. Guys from BlackRock, guys from Bizarre, guys from Codemasters. These are guys who have come together in this brand new studio just to build this game. They're using a lot of assets straight from Turn 10, the regular Forza guys. They're working closely with Turn 10 on it. How closely? We'll find out at the show, because Forza Horizon is still a mystery. We know it's an open road driving game, so you'll be driving down desert roads, really pushing the cars to their limit on these open streets, just driving through canyons.
So is the assumption that it's a bit like Test Drive Unlimited?
Like a sort of massively... maybe, but certainly open world. Certainly, perhaps more like Burnout Paradise. Maybe in that it'll be more of a fantasy kind of world with mixed environments, or perhaps more like Criterion's last Need for Speed game, Hot Pursuit, which itself was a lot of open roads and a lot of open space, rather than like dense city streets. It's not going to be like Project Gotham or anything. It's probably not going to be like Test Drive Unlimited's real built up city parts. I think it's more about celebrating real cars on the open road. What's going to be interesting is what kind of handling it's got. Is it going to be sort of an arcadey kind of handling? That's what we're expecting, or is it going to be simulation style like Forza? I think simulation style on true open roads might be a big ask for like a non-racing audience. It's like what would happen if you took your car up to 150 miles an hour on an open road? So I think we'll see something quite similar to what Bizarre used to do with Project Gotham, maybe. Although, it does beg the question, why didn't Microsoft just get Bizarre Creations to do it 3 years ago?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a game, both of us are big fans of Forza, so and there's a lot of Forza fans out there. So we're excited to see it, even if personally I'm a little bit not concerned exactly, but interested to see how the franchise does outside of Turn 10, because Turn 10 have got such a firm grasp on that series. But anyway, and then we get to Fable: The Journey.
Well, it's the game nobody wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows at this point the limitations of Kinect.
Yeah.
Play the Steel Battalion demo that's just come out on Xbox Live and tell me that Kinect hasn't got some serious limitations. Kinect is... if Kinect were as good as it should be, it would be the most amazing thing to ever happen to games.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we're a generation away from Kinect being ready, and when you see it at the beginning of next generation, it will be ready. It will have its own dedicated processor, or rather a dedicated part of the 360's processor just handling Kinect processing. It will track more points on your body, and it will really be able to handle a game like Fable: The Journey.
Yeah.
At this point, it remains to be seen. Let's use those words very carefully. It remains to be seen whether anyone can build a game which exclusively uses Kinect for like a full RPG experience.
Yeah.
Giving the benefit of the doubt, this phrase again, it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think by the time E3's done, it will still remain to be seen.
It's a tough ask, definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's Lionhead's first Unreal Engine game as well, which is, it's a brand new thing for those guys. But they've built some new tech for it. This is Kinect just purely tracking from the waist up. So in theory, it should be the first time Kinect will be very precise in a fully seated environment. That in itself is interesting. It's taken that long to do so. But hey, maybe maybe they've made the breakthrough. Maybe it works. All we know is that this really isn't the game we want to see Lionhead making. The MMO they're working on for next generation machines, that's much more interesting.
So that's Kinect. Are we going to see anything else Kinect related, do you think? Are they still going to be pushing Kinect this year?
Well,
is there going to be any surprises?
You'd see something Kinect-wise from Rare, but Rare aren't going to be there, I don't think.
Right, okay.
I think they're very much into the next generation stuff. I think that's quite likely. I think a lot of Lionhead are probably on next generation stuff at this point. I think Fable: The Journey is the last we'll see of them on this generation. But normally you'd see maybe a Kinect Sports. Probably not this time. The Joyride guys have just released a downloadable Joyride game without any Kinect support, so don't expect those guys, Big Park, to be doing anything. What you will have is Avatar Motocross, which is a game which it's kind of broken out this week. It's clearly not one of their big reveals. Anything else would be a complete surprise.
Yeah.
At that point, maybe Rise appears, but you'll definitely have something family gamey. Yeah. Something. They wouldn't... The slot that Rare would normally take, the slot that Big Park would normally take, that will be taken by something. I don't know what it's going to be. There's no rumors on that part, because the rumors break out because someone's working on something so exciting they can't keep a lid on it. They tweet a little bit too much, or they tell a buddy in a pub, and gradually things get around. When developers are working on family games and so on, they tend not to be like, no one's going to the pub and going, I'll tell you what, I'm working on Joyride. Right. It's not a big a deal. Microsoft do have a Soho studio, actually here in London, which made the Once Upon a Monster game, I think.
That was Tim Schafer's mob. They did make another kids game though. They worked on a kids Kinect thing. Yeah. They might announce something. Right. Okay. You're right. Once Upon a Monster was Tim Schafer. Yeah. Hey, you know what? We know Tim Schafer's studio are working on a follow-up to their Kinect Play studio. Oh right. Yeah. Again, the name escapes me, but there's a sequel to that in the offing. Maybe that'll be at the show. So finally, to wrap up, we know that's a pretty comprehensive look at what we think's going to happen. The big one of that is definitely Halo 4. I mean, that's going to be the headliner. It's going to be, if it doesn't close the show, then you'll know they're about to say something about next gen. Basically, if the Halo 4 demo starts with 10 minutes of the show left, or 12, 13 minutes of the show left, Microsoft have got something else to show. Because that's going to be a big 10-minute chunk of show. They're going to show first in-game gameplay footage. As journalists, we've seen sort of footage from the first level. It might be that. It might be something new. I think I'll be keen to show something new.
This is do or die time for 343.
Yeah,
They're
definitely.
Brand new studio. They're going to have to try to out Bungie. It's no question the biggest thing at the show.
Think they're feeling the pressure.
They have to be. I mean, it's huge. But then the game was finished a while ago. Like it was feature complete a while ago, as far as we know, and they've just been in pure polish for the last 4 or 5 months, and they're going to keep polishing right up to the game's release. Make no mistake, if it isn't a good game, it's going to be a very polished game.
Yeah.
They'll do a great impression of a good game.
Yeah.
But they've got a lot of work to do to keep up to match the work that Bungie did. Hey, you know what? Bungie's work wasn't always perfect. There's moments even within certain games that. There's highs and lows. Even in the first Halo, there's great moments, there's bad moments. Halo 2 was quite a big misstep for those guys. Halo 3 was a big return to form. ODST was divisive, and Reach was patchy. Sometimes it was great, sometimes it wasn't so good. And it's very good in co-op. 343, people are saying, they've got a big challenge ahead of them. Can they beat Bungie? I don't think it's as big a challenge as you think. They can definitely match Bungie's lows. They can match Bungie's highs and sustain them through the entire game. That's the trick.
Yeah.
That'll be a big deal. And I'm not saying you'll find out at E3, but you'll get a good look at the game at E3. You'll certainly see what they've done with Bungie's tech.
So, just briefly, is your feeling that this is going to be in comparison to previous years, a strong showing for Xbox and Microsoft, or a little bit middling? It sounds a little bit middling to me.
I think it'll be strongly predictable. I think there's going to be a lot of really exciting stuff at the show, but nothing you don't know you're into already. Everything they'll show will be things you're already excited for. If you're going to get Halo 4, you're already going to get Halo 4. You don't need convincing at this show. If you maybe Fable Journey surprises everybody.
Yeah.
But I think most of the things they're going to show will be quite predictable. The only thing that would, of course, be a big surprise is if a Kojima rolls out on stage.
Yeah.
Or one of the major figurehead developers, the guys who really bring something special to the table. A couple of years ago, of course, Kojima did roll on stage to announce Rising. Maybe this year he comes on stage and talks about Project Ogre. Yeah. He's been tweeting a lot about it lately. Seems like it's ready to have something said about it. Does he do that on Microsoft stage? Does he do that on Sony stage? Does he do it on his own stage at a different time in the week? Well, who knows? Who knows if he's even going to be there? And if he is, then that would really shake things up. That would be a big surprise. That would be the show-stopping moment that Microsoft really need. They need a showstopper. Maybe the showstopper's Unreal 4. Maybe it's any number of things. But right now, looking at the very predictable lineup Microsoft have, and a lot of it was announced just a few months ago at their show in San Francisco. It needs something. Needs something just to put that little bit of wow back in the show.
Okay, well, thanks, Mike, for your insight, and we'll see how much of your predictions come true.